Guys, welcome to another one of our reviews. I'm the Worm, this is the Proton. Today we're going to be doing a juice review. Well, it's a multiple juice review, but the same flavour juice in different varying strengths. It was from e-smokeless.co.uk. Thank you very much to John for sending them down. I have got something over here quickly, which I did save. He did send us through just a personalised letter. I'm not going to read it all out, but every time it's just a nice little touch.
Worm's gay and Proton is the best.
We're going to read it out now.
No, it doesn't say that. But yeah, basically what we're going to do today is we are going to do bubblegum flavour from e-smokeless.co.uk. John's just got them in delivered, just gone on site and actually sent them out for us to have a little play with and see what we think.
Yeah, we did say previously that he was going to be getting in stock with this 6mg strengths, which were a green lid, we hoped, and we guessed right.
We was right. So yeah, he's got them in varying strengths. We did say from the very start of doing John's reviews that the range is going to be ever expanding, and it is every week, 2 weeks. He's getting new stuff in. He's expanding nicotine strengths and everything else. So it's always good stuff. Prices are remaining the same, which is even better. So what we've got is bubblegum, and we've got it in 6, 12, 18, and 24mg strength. All colour coded. Always will be on your bottles, so you'll know what you're getting every time you get it, which is wicked. What are we going to start with?
We're going to start with the 6. We're going to start with low and go to high. I don't know why. You can just see our faces going from normal, what we used to vape, into.
Right, okay, whilst Worm has a quick plate.
Yeah, I don't even know what the call this is, but it's about a 0.8.
0.8 to 1.
Yeah, it's got 3 wraps of 30 gauge, so.
There you go. Very quickly, all of John's bottles were tactile labels placed on them. So obviously, stop you getting confused and using them as eye drops and whatever else. Chip compliant labels. I know we're getting there. Chip compliant labels as well. They will all be adjusted to say Hangsen and all the rest of it. And also, in either of those bottles, every bottle we get from John. Yeah, it is a 6. Yeah. Oh, right.
Drip something in there.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, every bottle will have an even nose bottle in it. Price is $4.50 for 15ml, or you can get 30ml for $5.99 and delivered for £1. So $6.99 for a 30ml bottle of juice delivered. Which even a very heavy vapor would usually last you a week, so £7 a week, bang on price.
Unless you're using like your Genesis tanks, they do about 3 days.
But still, you tend to vary the amount of juice you have depending on the device you're using. Bang on service from John as always. He got these in literally bank holiday weekend and everything. Still managed to get them to us next day, which is always good. I know that he personally posts them as soon as the order goes in, so definitely good stuff. Head to check it out. We'll stick it down there for you guys as well, of course, as always.
Yeah, bubblegum, 6mg strength. Definitely more like a chewing gum. But I suppose if you look at them in the grand scheme of things, chewing gum and bubblegum are kind of in the same class. So just one tends to be more of like a fruitier flavour. Though you do get some chewing gums with like a tutti frutti in that, but chewing gum seems to generally be a mint kind of chewing gum, bubblegum sort of thing, and bubblegum's obviously normally like a fruitier flavour sort of thing. But yeah, it's just more of a chewing gum. I mean, it's not horrible by any means. It's actually really nice. It's actually not a bad vape at all, especially in the 6mg strength. No throat hit at all. Loads of flavour on that, on throat and my tongue. Quite enjoyable. Quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree with Worm. It's definitely more of what we in the UK would consider a chewing gum as opposed to bubblegum. It's definitely a mint flavour. There's a very slight touch of menthol in there, but it is quite a mild one. It is like just plonking a bit of sort of Wrigley's gum in your mouth and having a little chomp. I'm not picking up any fruitiness or anything. I am getting a very slight little throat hit, but not a major one. I have been suffering with that today though, so it might be that, but it is a 6 and it is low, even if it is me being sort of sensitive to throat hit. We didn't go too far into these liquids, and I imagine that'll be because I'm about to have a vape and Worm's going to go into them with you. But yeah, it is definitely a minty sort of chewing gum. So yes. Wrigley's on the 6. We do test them all nicotine strengths just to check for consistency and everything else, just to make sure. And obviously, I think John is as interested in this as we are, which is obviously a very good thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to go on to the 12mg strength now. This is in an A7, similar core to what the ones we got on a K100.
Yes. Obviously, guys, with these liquids, they're kind of tailored towards the flavour, but they're generally about an 80 to 90% PG factoring in flavour and that.
I think it's 70 to 80 typically, isn't it? 70 to 80 usually. I'm not after reading the bottle.
But yeah, it's somewhere around that mark. There's no
two are the same, though.
There's none the same. Obviously, the same flavour will be the same, but like it's pretty much you kind of guesstimate. But it is definitely a higher PG than VG content, unless you specifically buy a VG juice, which you do have to specifically order like 50/50 or a higher VG juice. So, but these are, as you would expect, predominantly PG, somewhere around 80%. Just look at it that way. So there is a little bit PG in there. So obviously the vapour of it is quite nice. It's not plumes of smoke or vapour, sorry, but it's enough to make you. It's still more than a cigarette by a long way. So there's still plenty of VG in there, but really nice. Yeah, I mean obviously people with dependency on like allergic PG might want to stay clear of these juices and look for ones that specifically say high VG content. So
indubitably, yeah, like I say, ratios on PG VG. Typically, most juice you'll buy pre-mixed is a higher PG, unless we're pointing out unless you specifically request it. If you have no idea what any of that is, don't worry. For the 12 for me, I'm getting basically exactly the same flavour, but it is slightly dulled, very very slightly. It's not quite as, the mint doesn't seem quite as fresh and in your face as it did in the 6. We've said this throughout our juice reviews for a lot of juice reviews we've done now. As you increase in nicotine, the flavour does seem to drop off very slightly. That 6 was very very full of flavour. This 12 has still got a lot of flavour, but it's not quite as punchy in terms of flavour as the 6 was. That's kind of what I'm getting from this, but the flavour itself is exactly the same.
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Definitely slight. I mean, we're talking minimals of flavour loss here, but you obviously are getting a little bit more. I can feel the nicotine more on my tongue with this one, and more on my throat. Definitely more on my throat than my tongue. I'm definitely still feeling about the same sort of flavour on my tongue, to be honest, but on the back of the throat, where I was getting quite a bit of flavour from like the mint, not really getting that this time, so I think the nicotine is just pushing that out of the way a little bit. So you're losing a little bit of mint on the throat, but other than that, the flavour is identical.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't seem as if I'm getting as much of the sorry, in the 6 I felt like there was a very small touch of menthol in there on the back of your throat. In the 12 it's not even near as strong as it was in the 6. It wasn't particularly strong in the 6, if I'm honest with you. We're just comparing those two juices. What are we going to move on to now? Move on to the 18.
18, yeah, what's the 18?
18 is in an M6 stripper on the KTS. You can go first, mate. M6 stripper on the KTS, a similar ohm call to what the others are. We have used different drippers in this review. Usually we tend to stick with the same drippers, but we've got these based on they perform exactly the same as the other drippers we use, which is why we've got them. Woohoo! Fair enough.
Yeah, it's again it's the same as it was from the 6 to the 12. Definitely more nicotine on my tongue, only a slight bit. Flavour is actually a little bit more than the 12 on the tongue, only slightly, but it seems to be more closer to the 6 on the tongue. But the throat is just nicotine. I'm not getting really any mint on my throat at all now. But other than that, the flavour is the same on my tongue, except for the nicotine, which you are obviously, if you're vaping high nicotines, expect to lose a bit of the flavour out of this because it is going to hit your throat. And let's be honest, when something hits your throat, it's going to stop any sensation of flavour. It's just the way it is, the way how nicotine works on your throat. So just how it is. If you want the high nicotine strips, you're going to suffer with a little bit less flavour. It's not by any means a great deal. It's not, you're talking like fractions here, but like it is less. Does that make sense?
Kind of disagree. I'm getting more of a on my throat flavour out of this than I was at the 12. It may be the fact that we didn't mention this in the 12. The throat hit on the 12 wasn't too dissimilar to the 6, if I'm honest with you. It was just slightly more on the tongue. With this, I am getting a little bit more of a throat hit. This for me is about a 3 or 4 out of 10. It's not high by any means, especially for an 18, but it is definitely more than the 12 and the 6 was.
I'm still getting no throat hit.
Immune, but it's definitely more than sort of your 6 or your 12 was, as you'd expect it to. But I'm getting the same flavour on my tongue, not quite strong on the tongue, but what I am getting is the chewing gumminess. If you have that bit of gum and stick it in your mouth first of all, as you chew down you get that kind of on your tongue. It's kind of like, I'm kind of getting that on my tongue, which I like.
To be honest, since I've stopped and started talking, it's coming through a little bit, that powderiness on my tongue, kind of after I've finished vaping, not while I was doing it though, so...
Yeah, I know. Am I passing that to you?
I don't know. Obviously next up, guys, is the 24mg strength, which is on Mr. Proton's Big Blue box mod.
My Big Blue box that I made. It's basically a Vamo in there, just customised, and we're running it on a JUK23 high resistance squad on this, but obviously you can ramp the volts up at it being on a variable voltage.
And so it's got 6,800 mAh.
It will last me at least a day.
At least a day. And war wounds! Look at that! That's a war wound for making that thing.
Yeah.
That one hit you hard, did it? Obviously this is a higher nicotine strength than we are actually both used to vaping. I mean, Mr. Proton has 12s to 18s.
Depending on what I'm doing.
Depending on what he's doing, if he's going out.
I'll vape anything, but it's 12 to 18s where I'll sit.
Yeah, but obviously this is hitting you a little bit hard?
Slightly.
Yeah, this is on the JUK 23, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sort of Baron clone. For me, off that one, I'm getting more of a throat hit than I was off the 18 to start with. You're talking sort of 5-ish or a 6. I can feel it in my nose a little bit as well, but this, again, guys, is we don't vape 24s typically. If you're someone who vapes 24s predominantly or higher, then this to you will be no issue, to be honest with you. It's only because this is out of our comfort zone in terms of what we do for juices regularly. So throat hit for me is definitely higher. The flavour, it's not as strong as it was in the 18. It's still the same flavour, which is obviously a thumbs up, that's what we want, but the flavour itself doesn't come through quite as much, purely because you've got that nicotine in there. The amount of nicotine in there does draw away from the flavour itself, for me anyway. If you're vaping 24s, like on your day-to-day basis, chances are you won't even notice this. And the flavour itself is still minty, sort of chewy chewing gum. I'm getting a bit of that on your tongue like I was from the 18. I'm still getting a nice minty flavour. Not so much the menthol hit on the back of my throat, but that is because it's being sort of not dominated, but drawn away from by the fact that I'm getting a nicotine throat hit on that 24.
Yeah, guys, I'm definitely getting a nicotine throat hit on this one. But saying that, I'm getting a slightly more bubblegum powderiness on my tongue, but I'm also getting more mint on this one.
We are useless.
Guys, you've got to remember that juice reviews are towards the person who's using them. To me, this is how it's tasting for me. This is why we do this in pairs. We do it in pairs everything anyway, but like we do enjoy the juice reviews doing in pairs because you do get 2 reviews for the price of 1. Because mainly like his taste buds are completely different to mine.
And yours will be to ours in general.
So you've got to take this with a slight pinch of salt and just go, I probably will try that.
Although we do, I mean, these juice reviews and in reviews in general, they are obviously our opinion, but the juice reviews from our behalf anyway, the main intention isn't to say this juice is good, this juice is bad, because you will be the decider of that. You will like things that we don't and vice versa. But what we're trying to do is break down, take that name and tell you what the flavour actually tastes like in the bottle as to whether it tastes like that name. So basically we're getting a minty chewing gum off of this one, as opposed to when I think bubblegum typically, and I think one would agree, you tend to think more along the lines of
Hubba Bubba.
In the UK, Hubba Bubba, that kind of really sweet, really fruity flavour. And if that's what you're expecting from this juice, then you're not going to get it. You're going to get the mint chewing gum style. That's more the intention of these reviews. It's just to tell you what is actually in the bottle as opposed to what
they say is in the bottle. I mean, these juices are really, really good for what they are. But because obviously they're coming from America.
No, they're not.
Where are they coming from?
They're coming from Asia, that side of China.
Asia, okay, Asia. Obviously their version of bubblegum and chewing gum could be opposite to what we have, so this is why they may be putting bubblegum on it, but it tastes like chewing gum for us. So we
should point out in that fact we have actually tried the Cane's bubblegum separately somewhere else, and it was the same thing with that as well. We expected a fruity chewing gum and it was more of a minty, fruity bubblegum. It was more of a minty chewing gum.
Yeah.
So that's what this is, guys. It's more of a Wrigley's than a Hubba Bubba, but if that helps at all.
I think overall the standards of like 6 to 24 with the 12 and 18 in between, all pretty much tasting exactly the same. There's just slight differences on the nicotine throat hit, taking away a little bit of like either the mintiness or a little bit more powderiness when you get further up the scale. But all in all, depending on what nicotine strength you're going to go for, they are the same tasting juice. So if you're one of these people that are trying to knock down and you like this juice at 24, you're going to enjoy it as you go down. It's not going to be any different. It's going to be quite nice. It's going to get you off those fags, and it's going to be better for you.
Of course. We do a little out of 10 for what we think the flavour is supposed to taste like, so basically what it lives up to, whether its name, whether it actually tastes like what it says it does, and then what our personal preference of it is as well. Again guys, totally subjective these reviews though, so out of 10 for what it's supposed to taste like.
Bearing in mind guys, this is obviously bubblegum, chewing gum. We can't really say because theirs could be opposite to what we think it's meant to be, so I'm just going to say it's as bubblegum and chewing gum together. If it tastes like one of them, it does. It tastes like chewing gum. It is very, very good actually. It's not overpowering in any kind of way, but it's not lacking in any kind of way. So it's overall a 9. It really is. It could just do, for me, if it's going to be like a chewing gum like it is, a little bit more mint in there. Just a little bit more mint for me. That's the only reason it's a little bit lower for me.
He is a mint freak. For what it's supposed to taste like for me, I was going to agree with him. I was going to say exactly what he said, which is basically I'm going to put chewing gum and bubblegum into the same category purely because there is language barriers and so on and so forth when it comes to labelling now. But yes, does it taste like chewing gum? Hell yeah it does. 10. It does. It tastes like a chewing gum, alright? Simple as that. Wrigley's, if that's what you're after in this juice, I'll hit the mark for you.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm going to give it a 9.5. I actually quite enjoy this juice. Now, we usually say which one is our preference. It's hard to, because I like them all. I could see me using all of those at different times. If I was drinking, the 24 would be perfect, because they all taste exactly the same as they should. My day to day, I'd take the 18, having tried them all. But that's just my preference. But they're all very nice. I give them 10s.
For me overall, I actually do quite like them. I do prefer the 6 and the 12. I will admit that, because I am predominantly quite a low milligram in nicotine strength vapor. But yeah, they all are really nice. If I was going out, I'd quite happy putting the 24 and that in, so 10 for me. I mean, I know I gave it a 9, but that's only because I think it could be more improved to be more like the chewing gum it's trying to represent. I mean, chewing gum is a little bit more power on the mint, where this could be, but other than that, I actually really enjoy it. It's actually quite a nice liquid. So
very, very nice juice, especially for £5.99 and delivered for £1 on a 30ml bottle. You're not going to regret that purchase. Menthols are a great palate cleanser as well if you do get vapors, tongue and so on and so forth, so this will definitely be a good one for that.
Or just if you're used to vaping one juice, go off it for a day on a nice mint or a menthol, go back on it, and it brings that juice back to life for you. It really does. Indeed.
We definitely recommend this one, guys, and we obviously recommend you go and check out e-smokeless. We always say this, go over and have a look, because the prices are well, some of the cheapest that we've ever seen, so wicked stuff. And quality is always there.
Big thank you to John again.
Obviously.
Do love the personal notes.
Lovely stuff. Right, guys, I think we're ending there. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Mr. Proton. This has been The Worm. See you soon.
See you soon, guys.